Hello friends, welcome to another episode of the Rifle Chair channel. This is mail call number 4, May 2019. Now, what is mail call? It is an opportunity for me to read through some of the comments that are on the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group, on Instagram, and respond. It can be an administrative burden to stay on top of the dialogue, typing to every response. And so this is my way of kind of just, giving some kind of a response that I think maybe you'll appreciate. Maybe, I certainly seem to get a lot out of actually making these videos. It's my situational awareness, my own personal situational awareness of the audience and what's on their minds. I mean, it is really, I try to read every single post. And many of them are sufficiently complicated where in order for me to effectively answer that, I would have to write paragraphs on the subject. I think it's the same way as asking a really well-designed, well-scripted, well-considered question really deserves a well-considered, unpacked response. And I don't feel like I'm really able to do that necessarily, typing on the YouTube channels and stuff like that. So that's kind of the reason behind these videos. This is the 4th one I've made now. And I try to do them quarterly. Maybe that's too frequent. I don't know. You guys let me know. Anyway, this is mail call number 4. And hey, how you doing? I even shaved for you guys today. Cheers. Make sure you guys put your fires out. Don't throw your cigarette butts in the grass. It's going to be one of those years. Got to be smart. So, here's the first thing. I've had pneumonia for 2 weeks. I'm starting to come out of it now. But it was awful. I mean, it started off as and I'm having a little bit of problems breathing, a little bit of congestion. Fever. Oh geez, I better go see a doctor. And in order for me to actually go see a doctor, I gotta be friggin' near death, or at least this is coming on strong enough where I'm actually getting concerned. So I went to go see the doctor, which is basically like torture for me. I hate going anywhere near doctors and hospitals and whatnot. But I actually did it, and it turns out I had pneumonia. Some of these viruses out there, you guys, are brutal. I don't know, I swear somebody's out there inventing them, trying to make them better. Some evil character in the world. Anyway, I had pneumonia, had it for 2 weeks. And while I was doing the last CFC 2019 video, kind of the closing remarks, the award ceremonies, I had to keep stopping the camera because I was coughing so much. I know that I'm going to start coughing now because I mentioned it. See? Okay. So pneumonia for 2 weeks. So I'm starting to come out of that. I'm starting to get a little bit more air underneath my wings, if you know what I mean. Which is good because I know it. Being sick sucks. I'd rather be working. So mail call number 4. Let's get back to it. This isn't particularly a comment on one of my videos, but it's something I wanted to address. And it has to do with another YouTube channel called MaidenLiberty. And this is a young woman in I think the Quebec area, who is essentially a libertarian. And she's got around 1,200 subscribers. And she's really unhappy because she knows that her channel has been, restricted, and probably because the content that she's talking about is liberty driven. I mean, she's definitely got a theme about liberty, and she's a young woman. I think she's awesome, and she's obviously stressed because she's not getting the audience that she thinks that she deserves. I mean, the thought and the the thought process she kind of goes through to making her videos, and many of them are pretty ranty, but that's what kind of part of the, how should we say, the gravitas of her channel is the rant parts. Because she's expressing something that a lot of us are feeling, right? So I appreciate her channel. Anyway, so she's going to be shutting down her channel. At least walking away from it, taking a break. Now here's the thing. Okay, so take a break. Just walk away from it for a while. Don't make a video for 1, 2, 3, well, maybe 3 months is a little bit long, because you don't want your subscribers to just kind of like dissipate, right? I mean, one thing that I've looked at my channel, and I've actually thought about canning the Rifle Chair YouTube channel several times. Several times. You'd be surprised how many times I thought, geez, what the heck am I doing? Is this a waste of my time? But then I go through and I read the comments, and it kind of draws me back, because the subject and the sensibility of your audience, how should we say, just look at it from a different angle. If you want to understand the character of somebody, get to know their friends. If you really want to understand somebody, get to know their friends. What that means is that your audience is, I should say, the eloquence or the well-considered posts that people make on your YouTube channel, your audience, if they're good questions or they're good comments, then you have one hell of an audience. So far as the number of subscribers, you know, I just did, you know, the Cabin Fever Challenge 2019 videos. They take anywhere of up to 3 to 4 months to make for one video. You know, it's a lot of work putting those videos together. A lot of personal time and investment. How many subscribers do you think I got over that video? The answer is 10. Months of work for 10 subscribers. So should I be upset about that? Hell no. You know, when I was kind of, these are questions that you ask yourself. What is it? Because the subject matter of the videos isn't any good? Is it because of my delivery? Is it because I'm obviously uncomfortable in front of the camera when I speak? Is it because the content I'm creating is not well considered enough? Did I not reflect on that subject sufficiently before I opened my yap and started flapping my gums? Those are good questions to ask yourself. Everybody should be asking themselves those kinds of questions. It's a continuous improvement process, right? I've been doing this for years now as a content creator, and I haven't broken 9,000 subscribers. When I've seen other channels that are really pushing content, which is, I mean, it's not there. And they're well into the hundreds of thousands. And so you sit there and you ask yourself, okay, what am I doing wrong? You might not even be doing anything wrong because of the censorship, how it works, being restricted, removed from the search queries of people who have restricted on. So you're filtered away from this huge, massive bubble of information that you're not allowed to access because somebody has set your search settings to reject all restricted content. So it's a huge sphere of knowledge that these people aren't even accessing because they can't see it. They don't know about it. I gotta keep drinking the tea because I'll start coughing. Anyhow, the point is this: MaidenLiberty. You have 1,200 subscribers, and I am one of them. Okay. Take a break from your channel. Walk away from it for a little while. Reprioritize. Reevaluate. And when you're ready, come back and tell us what's new. Take care, man. Anyhow, let's move on. MaidenLiberty. Great channel. Oh, here's something for you guys. Now, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just going to show you something that's just cool. That means I have to stand up and show you my my Adonis body here. But check out this t-shirt. How cool is that? Check the back. You want to know more? Check out this guy. He's got an Etsy site, etsy.com. LogansStichery. LogansStichery. I'll put a link down below. So I acquired this from LogansStichery on his Etsy site, and he's got a lot of like Enfield themed stuff. Plus, I mean, I got an RC right here, which is kind of a nice custom thing you can do with people like this who own Etsy sites. You're not talking about some, you know, Chinese corporate, you know, mega structure where what you buy is what you get. You can actually request a custom t-shirt be made for you, like Maple Leaf up on the back, or this RC logo, or this. Let's do it again. Let's just, oh yeah. I mean, come on. You wear a t-shirt like this and you walk around, people like that have the eye, they see that, they go, wow, somebody really cool there. Anyway, check it out. I will say that I am a 5'8", about 185 pounds, and I went with a large. I probably should have gone with the extra large, because I like baggy t-shirts. These are just, this one's a little bit too tight, but it's a great undershirt. You know, I'd recommend possibly, if I were to be a constructive criticism, is that, and I'm not quite sure if this is even possible, but if you're going to have a kind of a shirt like this, a polypropylene shirt, something that won't soak up with sweat, you know, if you're a fairly physical person, cotton just soaks up water, right? I mean, polypropylene will just, like underwear, it will just, you know, you'll sweat it off and it'll get wet, but it'll whisk away and dry out 10 times faster. And they wear pretty good too, but think about that maybe. But these are great shirts. I love it. LogansStichery. Okay, I'm done selling you guys stuff. Let's maybe talk a little bit about some of the comments here on the channel. Here's one from Foul Pet. Sometimes the names in and of themselves make me laugh. Here's a post from Foul Pet on Jed's Rifle, which is a video about kind of rural values and national pride, community, a sense of community. And he says, yeah, city people have none of those qualities. Only country folk can be trusted. Excuse me. Only city folk can be trusted. That wasn't really the message that I was trying to convey in the video. And here's my response. However, a nation is protected by a sense of community, and that is a value largely lost in the concrete metropolis. I think in smaller rural towns, I'm not talking about like a street level sense of community. I mean like a whole town level sense of community. Right? You don't really get that kind of sense of community when you're in a huge metropolis. You can't. There's just too many people, it's too big, you know, it's spread out too far. But in small rural towns, you can have like an entire village or town level sense of community. I think that's weakening over time in rural communities. I think rural communities are growing more and more into more metropolitan centers. Not all towns, I mean like your bigger towns even. They're not cities, but they're still towns. You know, there's a transition where you start to lose that sense of community, I think. But definitely smaller towns, rural, you know, remote locations, definitely a sense of community. I mean, if there's a local emergency, Everybody's there to help and fix up. Sandbagging, fighting forest fires, right? Sense of community. We're here to protect one another. I think that's largely been lost in larger centers, large municipalities, cities. That sense of community and what that value brings to the table. I think we're losing that. So Jed's rifle, that video, is largely about that. We're talking about that sense of community and how important it is. It defends nations. It's what keeps nations strong. So anyway, I'm not saying that city folk can't be trusted, like the poster is suggesting, but if they're smart, when there's a huge crisis, they know where to go, and it's to leave the city. Okay, so here's a post from Little Jenny on 2019 Cabin Fever Challenge results video. Excuse me, I better have a swig. Somebody needs to challenge Rob at British muzzleloaders next year. Although I'm not sure if it's possible for him to up his game. Great job to everybody who participated in the challenge. That's a great post, Little Jenny. I mean, you know what? I'm thinking that Division 4 needs to be what I shoot next year. Like, my number one priority will be to shoot Division 4. And I'm going to definitely challenge Rob in what he's doing. I don't know if I can dress up like that. Maybe I'll bring an 1874 Sharps rifle, maybe a Peter Sully or something like that, and dress in furs. That'd be fun. And considering it's probably going to be really cold, probably really comfortable too. I have to think about that. Dress like a trapper. Okay. Although I don't know too many trappers that would carry an 1874 Sharps. But screw that. That's the rifle I want to shoot. Division 4 single shot rifles only, you guys. Let's get more people in that division. Because honestly, you're doing way more. I mean, if you really want to hone your, how should we say, skill set, maybe broaden or expand your skill set horizons, get a large centerfire rifle in a single shot action and see what you can do. That's a great personal challenge to make. Nobody's interested in that, right? I am. I'm totally interested in that. What could you do with a single shot? How fast can you do it? By the way, you can probably hear the TV blasting upstairs. Here's a lady who posted on an old video here. What is Crown Land trespass? Very, very upset lady, saying that Crown Land should be free to the public, and the whole system is corrupt. And she was very, very upset and was on a tirade, frankly, about the way the tenuring system in British Columbia works as it applies to Crown Land. All of Canada is pretty much Crown Land. It's like whatever it is, 13% of our country is actually private land. The remaining is Crown Land, which is basically tenured out for specific purposes. You pay a royalty or you pay a tax under the Land Act in order to occupy Crown Land. It's all figured out. They have an Exhibit A as to where the ground is and what you're allowed to do on it and how you manage the land. There's usually a management plan applied to all these tenures and permits. And the government checks on them very infrequently just to make sure that they're following the management plan and the license provisions and the conditions of the disposition. Anyway, it's a whole way of that Canada tenures out Crown Land for use to the general public. And it seems to be, it's a pretty successful model. It's worked very, very well. And she was very unhappy with it because so much of Canada is Crown Land and it should be given to the people. And you know what? Here's the thing. Life isn't fair. It's not. It's totally unfair. And here's the deal: is that whining and complaining about it doesn't get you anywhere. You know, if it's unfair, you got to do the best job you can in an unfair system. If you think it's unfair, I think it works pretty good. You just need to know about it. You need to learn how it works, and do it right. Keep out of trouble. All I can tell you, there's a lot of people out there that are doing stuff on the land that they shouldn't be doing. They don't own it. Anyhow. It may be a flawed system, but it's a system, and it's worked very well in the past. Wow, lots of posts on 2019 Cabin Fever Challenge. Tons of congratulations coming from people who have posted. You know, gratitude and thanks from the people that have commented on the video that did shoot the match. And what I would like to say is that it takes a lot of guts to pick up a rifle and actually put yourself through a relatively difficult course of fire. 5 rounds standing, 5 rounds kneeling, 5 rounds prone, 5 rounds sitting, in that order, with a mandatory 5-round reload in between each position. A total of 20 rounds, 5 rounds per position. Is that a lot of people challenged it, and it's not easy. It's harder than it looks, but it's a really great drill to put yourself through to not only establish where your benchmark of skills and drills are, your fundamentals at each position. It's a fantastic drill for testing yourself in all of those areas. And if practiced enough, you get pretty darn good at it. Your marksmanship level goes like this. I mean, it's incredible, just the curve that you climb if you practice it enough, over and over again. Everybody has their favorite yoga drill. You know, they're stretching just these muscles in a specific way and so on. Well, this is basically yoga for shooters. Yoga for shooters. I gotta remember that. That's a good one. Anyway, it takes guts to film yourself doing it and put it out there. Again, fantastic audience, man. Even if only, like, we're under 9,000 subscribers right now. Even if 10% of those are shooters, it's like, wow, it's pretty cool. All right. Oh, here's a post from British Muzzleloaders, again on the 2019 Cabin Fever Challenge. Thank you for Richard for hosting such a fun shoot. I have a great time every year. For me, it has become a kind of template that I can test various historical aspects against. Now I have to decide which direction to go next year. Thanks again. You know what? What direction you should go next year? Freak everybody out and shoot with an AR-15. That'd be great. What would you dress up as, though? I don't know. How about Angus from AC/DC? That schoolboy. Sorry, that's my black British humor coming out again. Okay, wow, lots of Cabin Fever challenges. Here's a post from Brent Frew, my new Zen Master. Thanks very much for sharing your kind words about me. I am truly humbled. You have left me speechless, which is quite an accomplishment. The word is that I'm quite chatty. Who knew? And that's, again, another 2000 Cabin Fever Challenge, 2019 Cabin Fever Challenge post. I really enjoy watching you shoot, Brent. Really enjoy it. Show more. Okay, I'll answer a few more questions here and move on to maybe something else. Oh, yeah. I think, again, another Cabin Fever Challenge. video post. I think I'll give it a go next year. Cheers, Rifle Chair. Wish I could do the semi-auto category, but I live in New Zealand. We are currently going through the process of blaming responsible gun owners for terrorism and shooting ourselves in the foot in the long run. I know, man. I'm really upset with what's going over in New Zealand. Very upset. What it really demonstrates is this confiscation, the way it's rolling out in New Zealand, is it shows us how a nation can take a plunge off the deep end against its own citizenry. And really, like a lot of you anti-gunners out there are going to listen to this and think I am full of BS. But when you rejoice over SWAT teams and emergency response teams of the law enforcement community doing full SWAT tactical advance into somebody's home with guns drawn, snipers looking into windows, total lockdown of a person's residence, busting down the door, kicking in the door, going inside with guns drawn. We're talking seeing laser devices in the chest area of little kids, of mom in the kitchen cooking dinner, or maybe dad cooking dinner, getting ready to sit down and for a relaxing evening, and then your residence, your door is kicked in, and the law enforcement people come in with their MP5s and tell you to get down on the floor and secure the house, go to your secure lockup, and take all of your firearms, seize them, and then take you away to jail because you're on a database showing that you have semi-automatic firearms, and your country just made the decision to make them illegal for you to possess. Because in this case, the New Zealand shooting occurred by an eco-terrorist who admitted to being a socialist. Right? A socialist, Marxist, eco-terrorist. Self-described that way. That is not the, how shall we say, I make all of these videos in one take, you guys. It is what it is. So I may be a bit flawed. I'm going through a thought process. When your country turns on a persecuted minority, such as firearms owners, they are if there was any persecuted minority in Canada or New Zealand, it's firearms owners. And it obviously is. They have to admit themselves to a national registry. You are considered a persecuted minority, but they write laws against you. Anyway, when the law enforcement community is busting down the doors of these good people who have no criminal past, who pay taxes, who are contributors to society, they're in the asset category or in the asset column of the country, who work, pay taxes, contribute to things like national debt and whatnot. They're making money. They're not a draw on society. They're not in the deficit category. They're in the asset category. When your country starts breaking down these doors and throwing them in jail and taking away their private property because your prime minister has made an executive decision, it reeks of radicalism. When you treat your own citizens like an insurgency, it's very concerning what's going on in New Zealand. And so when New Zealanders are reaching out to me saying, we're in real trouble here, And I'm paying attention, right? Oh, here's a few replies. Thanks for the sympathy. Sounds like you have your own battles to fight. Hopefully we can get things sorted out properly. Maybe dialed back a bit, as the New Zealand police have made an absolute pig's ear of things. Yeah. Yeah, it's real sad. Really sad, very concerning. Now when we hear our Prime Minister, when we hear that there's leaks that the Liberals are going to do something similar here in Canada, and that, the Liberals are in such a bad position right now in Canada. They're falling apart. It's literally collapsing from the inside. The party's in disarray. Their core is disappearing. They got leaks all over the place going to the media, leaks going to the opposition parties. Many would call that turncoating. I don't know what you call it, but these are people who are obviously concerned, that are within the kind of the liberal central bubble, that are they're subject to the conversations that are going on, and they are so alarmed by it that they feel they have to secretly leak this information, right? That means that there's stuff going on. There's so much conflict in that government right now. Is that there's members crossing the floor, joining the opposition parties. It is so awful to see this happening. I mean, it's very concerning to see your national government in this much disarray and chaos. It makes you very concerned, right? When you have those themes of what's going on in New Zealand, about the government essentially calling a minority of their population an insurgency, breaking down their doors and taking their firearms, pointing weapons at them. Is that our government is looking at adopting something similar to this and praising it as an advancement of their society, and that the population is actually supporting this kind of activity, this demonizing of their own citizenry? When you lose your firearms, you cease to be a citizen and you become a subject. I'm concerned about it. Anyhow, that kind of puts me into a negative frame of mind. Let's maybe jump out of that and move into a different direction now. So, enemies of the state. Let's move on. I got a couple projects lined up for future videos that I want to take. I want to take this channel. Of course, some of them are not rifle related. There's been a bunch of comments on my channel here. Is that many of the people that are subscribers to this channel see it as being more of a philosophy channel than a gun channel. And that really took me aback. I'm being totally honest with you. I always thought it was a gun channel. And now I'm not so sure anymore. I don't know what it is. It's just the Rifle Chair channel. Now, because I've got rifle in the name of the channel, it's already basically highlighted and restricted because of the name of it. Just very much like, here's a segue. Canadian Tire has taken off all of the firearms off the shelves that have the word tactical in it. All the SKSs were pulled out. Any rifle that had any kind of, should we say, kind of tactical theme has been removed from their because the way they look. Just like, for example, at the Tikka CTR, I went to Canadian Tire. I said I'm going to acquire a Tikka CTR in 308. Do you have any? I said, nope. We had to remove all of those rifles from the shelves because the Tikka CTR has the word tactical in it. I said, what? That's ridiculous. It's a bolt action 308. I mean, it's no different than any other bolt action 308. Really, I mean, it's cooler in my opinion, but no, it's CTR is compact tactical rifle. All of those products were removed from their shelves because of that. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's just such bullshit. I mean, if the AR-15 is an assault rifle, then all bolt-action rifles with a scope must be sniper rifles. See what I mean? That's how they're going to get us. That's how they're going to get us. They redefine what everything is. It's not a hunting rifle, it's a sniper rifle. It's more dangerous. Redefining terms is very dangerous. Because it's just a hunting rifle. It's to take a CTR. Anyhow, let's move out of that. I gotta pull myself out of that negative mindset now. Because it's too negative. Okay, let's talk about projects. I'm going to be spending a lot of time working in the bush this year, so it is going to have an impact on the channel, my ability to make quality gun videos. So I'm trying to find how do I turn this challenge into an opportunity. It means I'm going to be in exceedingly remote locations and in a camp situation. So I'm away from my base of operations, and I'm in a remote location, wilderness location. I'm not quite sure I'm going to make that work, but there are some kind of rifle, maybe shooting at steel kind of opportunities that I might have, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. But here's one. There's one rifle that I'd like to spend more time with, which is the Bergara rifle, which is essentially a Remington 700 made in Spain, and they're well known for their barrels. Really well known for their barrels. They used to just manufacture barrels for other companies, and but they decided to go kind of independent and excuse me. And here we go. We have a Bergara 308. It is heavier than I thought it would be. There's a fair amount of meat on this barrel, even though it's kind of a hunting rifle. I do find it difficult to load. Definitely having a rail on this is pretty much no darn good, because you got to manually load it unless you go to some kind of maybe an MDT chassis system. I will say one thing that I don't like is that I don't like that. You can screw this off, and I got a blue lock. I got to lock tight that in there, because I'd be so pissed off if that thing was just gone one day after a day of hunting in the bush. My bolt knob fell off. I don't like that. But accuracy results are looking good so far. Here's another one that another project that I have on my mind, which is this is a number 4 Mark 1T, and number 4 Mark 1T, made in 1945, M47C marked, and this rifle and I have a date shooting Courtenay Castings 180 grain round nose bullets, which are essentially manufactured from 5.56 NATO brass, swaged down over several different steps down to the point where it's a 311 diameter bullet. It's a brass casing with that is lead. It's got a lead core. They shoot really well in my opinion. I mean, using one of my favorite powders, I've been successfully getting groupings out of it. Like this. I mean, that's pretty good. Guy made his own bullets out of IVI brass, 5.56 NATO brass, and they shoot. And so the next part of this process is to do expansion tests, weight retention tests. I'm going to use a couple of saturated pulp rounds for that. Basically firewood rounds. Shoot at it and then split it open, find your bullets and weigh them. That's the idea. I mean, these are a homemade bullet made out of 5.56 NATO brass. It's basically a bonded bullet. I mean, I think the weight retention is going to be huge. The time to make each and every bullet, it's just must take forever to make these things. Do I have one here? Anyway, you guys have seen them before. I'll probably edit a picture of these bullets, what they look like. Here's another project that I want to spend more time doing. This is the Israeli M1A. Well, it was an M14, but it's been torn down and rebuilt onto a Norinco M305 receiver. Right, this is the IDF. There's forward slings, swivels here, side and bottom, and even got a stud right here for a bipod. So this was a sniper stock, but it's all M14 components. Bolt is made by Winchester. It's all. I mean, that operating rod is tight compared to the Norinco ones. I mean, I got a feeling this is going to be one hell of a shooter. I do want to unitize the gas assembly. I am getting an unacceptable amount of damage to the brass casings coming off this rifle. Now I don't know if it's overgassed or what, but I think it might be overgassed. I think maybe that porthole might be just a little bit too big. I don't know. But I think it's overgassed. I've had a couple failures to feed, so it's a challenge, right? Some of these rifles are a little bit of a challenge. That's one of them for me. I want to get it fixed because I really want to spend more time on that rifle. But until I get it figured out, I definitely want to bed that rifle to the stock. I'll use the Art Lupino method. That's how I do it. And from past bedding jobs that I've done on these rifles, I've halved the groups. Half of them. By doing that. I mean, just the harmonics of those rifles. If you don't hear that ping when you shoot these or you dry fire it, listen, you should hear it. There's no ping at all. So the harmonics are all wrong. Anyway, that's a project. It has officially landed into the project column, which makes it difficult to get that project on the go. What these are, excuse me, damn pneumonia. Sounds like the kids are fighting upstairs. Oh, this is another project, which is a recent acquisition. This is a Jungle Carbine, number 5 Mark 1, manufactured in 1946. I've got it sitting in raw linseed oil. Anyway, this has turned into a project too. A lot of these surplus firearms, you guys, they need some care and attention before you should shoot them. Yeah. I mean, it's neglect. It's so many of these firearms have been neglected. I've been sitting in crates for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. It's like some Enfields that you find are, whoa, okay, this rifle needs some work. I totally removed all of the copper out of the bore of this rifle. It took a lot of effort. I'm using foaming bore cleaners to copper cutters. I probably got 60, 70 years of copper buildup out of that Jungle Carbine. It was way too much. I mean, when you look down the bore when I first got it, okay, it's had lots of patches, but I know Enfield barrels well enough when I see that there's not a lot of variation between the grooves and the lands inside that rifle. I said, oh boy, yeah, those grooves are filled up. I mean, it must have recoiled like a bugger shooting that jungle carbine, because you're essentially shooting a fat bullet through a smaller tube when it's so badly copper fouled like that. Anyway, so it took me a while, got all of it out, that's just carbon coming out of the barrel. And what did I see underneath? Rust. So what I'm going to do is, once I get this stock, swollen up a little bit more with repeated pure linseed oil treatments, and plus, I mean, there's other issues with the stock because it's so dry, it's loose on the rifle. I mean, the action pillar here was proud, so the stock is loose on the rifle because the wood's shrunk up so much. So I'm trying to get a little bit more body into the wood so that it fits properly on, the barreled receiver fits properly into it. But anyways, what I'm going to do with all of that rust that's in the barrel, I think it's redeemable, because what I'm going to essentially do is shoot it out. I'm going to just clean every single round for 20 rounds, and then after I'll start with 311 bullets, and then I'll move up to a 312 bullet, probably 180 grain interlocks, and I'll just basically burnish the barrel with every single shot and clean in between. After 20 or 40 rounds of that, it's going to be nice and shiny, right? I'm going to shoot the rust out. It's called fire lapping, essentially, right? That's how you get those older barrels that have been, you got some corrosion in there, a little bit of pitting and frost, right? People don't know how to clean rifles. So anyway, jungle carbine, it's not going to happen in 2019, folks, pretty much guarantee you. And if it does, it may be in the fall. It takes a while for this. This is what I call projects, right? These are projects. Another one that I really want to do is, I have this huge asset in the channel. And you guys aren't seeing videos on this one, and you need to. An Enfield Enforcer, my friends. These are unobtainium. You don't find these. Right? This is a genuine Enfield Enforcer. Okay, this one served with the Scottish National Police Force in the mid to late 70s. And they're an incredible rifle, chambered in 7.62 NATO, and exceedingly rare. About 700 of them were made. Half of them were destroyed when they went out of service. For some reason, half of them were made available to the markets. There may be 300 of these Enfields in existence today. I got a different optic on there because I'm playing with loads. But you guys really, I should be making more rifle tour videos with this rifle. It's an anomaly. Nobody has one of these. These are exceedingly rare. Incredibly rare. How many, geez, I've been making this video for 48 minutes. Oh, man. Anyway, maybe I'll cut her short here. This needs to get a little bit more attention on the channel. So I'm got a load. I'm trying to duplicate kind of a Palma bullet, Palma load with these. These are 155 grain Hornady boat tails, hard points. Actually a hollow point. So that's what I want to, come on, camera. Right, it's nothing special, 155 grain, but they are a match bullet, and there's a load that this rifle was essentially built around. It's manufactured by Radway Green. I think it's Radway Green, Royal Ordnance Factory, and I'm going to try to duplicate that. There's some different formulations that they used. I'm going to have to try to replicate the velocity with that 155 grain bullet. I think Radway Green was originally built for the L42A1, but a designated police or a designated marksman with the British forces would use that ammunition as well. Worked great for shooting through obstacles and so on. It would hold itself together. I'm not sure about the 168 grain Sierra Match King, because that's a very, very soft, malleable lead. I don't think it would shoot through obstacles very well. Whereas the Radway grain seemed to have kind of a more robust jacket to it, so it was probably better for that purpose. So I would definitely want to spend more time with that rifle and see what it can do. I really want to spend more time with that rifle shooting at distance. I mean, it was supposed to be able to... Anyway, I made a video on the history of these rifles. I'll try to put one of those identifying marks up here in the corner so you guys can find that. It's an old video. A lot of my videos are getting to be pretty old. I used to make way more videos than I do now. This here is my Inglis high power, but it's not a true Inglis high power. The lower on this was made by Feg. Feg is Hungarian, and but it's still a true Mark II clone. So this Inglis has been mated to a Hungarian frame. All the internals are 100% Inglis. I had to put a new trigger return spring on this thing because magazine's empty. Because it was too weak. It was not feeding properly. I got that fixed, and there it is. Now, what I can tell you is this pistol has it's printing 4 inches low at 10 meters, but a group's not too bad. The group's not too bad. So I'm in the situation where either I need a shorter front sight or I file this one. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Okay, so I'll probably file it because I'm too lazy to find another one. But certainly having the proper front sight would be best. At the same time, because we have kind of like the Mauser type, I don't know if you can see that or not. We have kind of the Mauser type front sight there. It's basically a pyramid, like your conventional military Mauser 98s had. Big, broad pyramid front sight. I'm not sure I like those. I think maybe for precision work that's okay, but if you don't have a lot of, I don't think it's a great combat sight system that they had on these pistols. Fixed rear sight on there. That's what Inglis did. I mean, there's no, you can't adjust that, right? You can adjust the front though, thankfully. But if they were like Lee Enfields, where you'd have different heights for your front sight, so you could zero yourself. Doesn't seem to be any difference between 129 or 115, 145. They all pretty much shoot 4 inches low at 10 meters. So that's another project for me. Projects, that's not really doesn't really qualify as a project because I finally got the reliability problems figured out with the trigger return spring. I finally found some Inglis parts that fixed it, and the front sight is just a zeroing exercise I need to go through. But otherwise, it's fine. It's reliable. Hungarian lower, Canadian upper and internals, and the worst trigger ever. It's awful, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's all been it's all new phosphate, right? And so a phosphate finish is by its inherent characteristics going to give you some grit, kind of a grit pull. So that stuff will eventually wear down, polish itself out, and yeah, no problems whatsoever. I want to spend more time with that pistol. I do. Anyhow, that's pretty much, I'm going to cut her short now, guys. I mean, well, it's not short at all. It's, what, almost an hour I've been talking here. That's enough for me. Hope you guys, hope I just didn't waste your time, but That's mail call number 4. It's May 2019. Hope you're all doing well. Cheers, and as always, Maple Leaf up.